Ever wonder why some people, just seem to climb the ladder of success effortlessly,
Mm-hmm.
while others, maybe even though they're really talented, they just get stuck,
Yeah.
and you wonder what's the difference?
Right.
Well, today we're diving deep into a book that tries to lay out all the uh, sort of the hidden rules of the game of power.
Okay.
It's Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, and we're going to uncover a mistake that so many people make
Interesting.
that can really sabotage your success, especially when you're dealing with, you know, people in power.
Yeah.
We're focusing on Law 1, never outshine the master.
Ah, this is a good one.
Yeah, have you found this to be true in your experience?
Well, this law is really all about understanding that even the most confident leaders, they can still be insecure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone has insecurities, right?
Right. And the thing is, you don't want to accidentally poke at those insecurities,
Right.
especially if this is someone who has power over you.
So it's not just about being good at what you do, it's about being smart about how you show it.
Exactly. You got to make those in power feel comfortable, like they're still the top dog.
You don't want to make them feel threatened.
Right. Validate their expertise.
Okay, so let's jump into a story from history that really illustrates this.
Because I love a good story.
It's 17th century France, okay?
All right.
King Louis XIV, the Sun King,
Oh, yeah. Very powerful guy.
extremely powerful, and he's got this ambitious finance minister, Nicolas Fouquet.
Fouquet. Now, he was a man who loved the finer things, let's just
Yeah,
say.
he did all right for himself.
He did, and he decided to throw this huge party at his newly finished chateau, this massive, beautiful estate called Vaux-le-Vicomte.
Vaux-le-Vicomte.
Yeah, and he's, doing this to honor the king, of course.
Of course, that's what he'll say.
Right, right.
But this wasn't just like a little get-together.
Oh, no.
This was like the party to end all parties.
We're talking like exotic foods from all over the world.
Wow.
Original music composed just for this event.
Oh, wow.
Gardens that were like something out of a fairy tale.
Oh, my.
Fouquet even commissioned a play, and not just any play, a play by Molière, like the most famous playwright of the time.
Yeah, he really went all out.
He spared no expense.
So what was he thinking? Like, what was his goal here?
Well, on the surface, it was to impress the king, show his loyalty,
Right.
But I think ambition got the better of him here.
Okay.
He he just didn't get the whole power dynamic thing.
So he threw a party so big and fancy that it outshined the king himself?
Basically, yeah.
Uh,
This chateau was more impressive than any of the king's palaces.
oh, no.
The entertainment was more spectacular,
Oh.
and just the whole, display of wealth,
Yeah.
it just completely overshadowed Louis XIV.
I could just imagine the king sitting there thinking, wait a minute, who's the Sun King here?
Right.
So what happened?
Well, the next day,
Oh,
Fouquet is arrested.
No way.
Yeah, accused of all this, made-up financial stuff, basically embezzlement,
Wow.
thrown in prison for life.
Talk about a party foul.
Yeah, he really messed up.
Instead of making the king happy, he made him feel insecure.
And that is a dangerous, dangerous game to play.
Absolutely. So Fouquet signed his own downfall with this extravagant party.
Yeah, you could say that.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
It gets worse.
Oh, no.
So Louis XIV, feeling all insecure now, he decides to build himself a palace even grander than Vaux-le-Vicomte.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and guess what?
What?
He uses the same architects and designers that Fouquet used.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just like rubbing it in.
Oh, yeah, it's a total power move.
The ultimate, I'll show you.
Yeah, and that palace, of course, becomes the Palace of Versailles.
Wow.
Yeah, so Fouquet's party, it didn't just ruin his own life. It also led to the creation of one of the most famous palaces in the world.
Ironic, isn't it?
Totally. So even if you're brilliant and talented,
Yeah.
you've got to be careful not to outshine the master.
Right, because it could backfire spectacularly.
Absolutely.
But now I'm curious, how do you avoid that?
Right? If showing off your skills can be so dangerous, how do you navigate these power dynamics?
Yeah, it's a tricky balance.
Well, for that, let's look at another historical figure who was a master at this.
Okay, who we're talking about?
Galileo Galilei.
Galileo the astronomer.
Exactly.
Okay, he was dealing with powerful people too.
Oh, yeah, he was navigating the world of Renaissance science.
Right, where you needed patrons.
Yeah, wealthy and powerful patrons.
To fund your research.
Exactly. So there's a different kind of power dynamic than the court of Louis XIV, but just as important.
Totally. So how did Galileo handle it?
Well, he was very strategic about it
Okay.
when he made his groundbreaking discovery of Jupiter's moons.
A huge discovery.
Huge. He didn't just, shout it from the rooftops.
Right.
He thought very carefully about how to present this information to his patrons. the Medici family.
The Medici's, very powerful family.
Extremely powerful, one of the most powerful families in Italy at the time.
So what did he do?
He was playing the long game, like a chess master.
Okay, I like this. I like this.
So he knew that Jupiter was the Medici family's dynastic symbol.
Ah, okay.
So he linked his discovery to their cosmic significance.
That's clever.
Yeah, he dedicated his findings to them.
Nice.
And he even suggested that the 4 moons he observed
Okay.
represented the 4 Medici sons revolving around their father, Cosimo Is, the founder of the dynasty.
He's basically saying the Medicis are like a mini solar system.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's flattering.
And it worked.
It did.
Oh, yeah, the Medicis loved it.
They must have felt pretty important.
Oh, absolutely. They felt like they were intellectually superior and cosmically significant.
Smart move by Galileo.
And it secured him a prestigious position as their court philosopher and mathematician.
Nice. So he got what he wanted?
He did. He got the resources and stability he needed to continue his work.
So Fouquet tried to impress the king, and it backfired.
Yeah?
Galileo made the Medicis feel important, and it worked out great for him.
Yeah, it's all about making the master shine.
It's not about hiding your talents. It's about knowing when to let others take the spotlight.
It's like we've got these 2 contrasting examples here.
Yeah, 2 very different approaches.
And 2 very different outcomes.
Absolutely, and it shows that understanding these power dynamics
Yeah,
can be just as important as being talented or hardworking.
totally.
Because if you don't get it right, you could end up like Fouquet.
Yeah, or worse.
Exactly.
So how can we apply these historical lessons to our own lives?
Right, because this was all a long time ago.
Yeah, how do we make this ancient wisdom relevant to us today?
That's a great question, and it's one we're going to explore next.
Okay, stay tuned for that.
We'll dive even deeper into Law 1.
And unpack some practical strategies for making sure you empower the master.
Right, without accidentally outsigning them.
Exactly.
Because you definitely don't want that.
No, you don't.
So, we were talking about insecurity and how it can really trip people up.
Yeah, especially when it comes to power dynamics.
Right, and you might think, well, kings and queens, they're the only ones who really worry about that stuff.
Yeah, like who else has to worry about getting overthrown?
But actually, it's more common than you think.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. That feeling of insecurity, it's pretty universal.
Yeah, I guess everyone wants to feel important and respected.
Exactly. And especially people in positions of authority, even if it's just, leading a team at work.
Right, they want to feel like they're in control.
They want to feel confident in their position.
So how do we use this knowledge to our advantage?
Okay, so let's say you're in a meeting and you have this brilliant idea.
Okay.
Now, you could just blurt it out and try to take all the credit.
Right, which might not go over so well.
But a more strategic approach would be to kind of nudge your boss towards the idea.
Ah, so they feel like they came up with it.
Exactly.
Which makes them look good.
And it also makes you look good.
How so?
Because you're the one who helped them have that brilliant idea.
Oh, I see. You're like the power behind the throne.
Right, and nobody has to know.
It's like a win-win.
Exactly. You contribute your idea, your boss gets the credit, and everybody's happy.
It's like that saying, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. You don't care who gets the credit.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be about big ideas, right?
Right. It could be smaller things, too.
Like,
Let's say your boss gives a presentation.
okay.
You could compliment them on their speaking style.
Oh, yeah, make them feel good.
Or if they're talking about a topic they're really knowledgeable about.
You can emphasize their expertise.
Right. Make them feel like the expert.
So it's about recognizing their strengths,
And making them feel appreciated for those strengths.
which makes them feel more secure.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about if you're working with a mentor
Okay, that's a good one.
and you're actually better at something than they are?
That can be tricky.
Yeah, you don't want to make them feel bad.
Right, so instead of showing off your skills,
Okay.
you could ask for their advice.
Oh, like, I'm struggling with this. Can you show me how you do it?
Exactly.
Because you're so good at this.
You're making them feel valued.
And you're still getting to learn from them.
Right, so you're both benefiting.
So it's not about being fake or insincere.
No, not at all.
It's about being strategic
Yeah.
and understanding how to navigate these power dynamics.
Exactly. It's like learning a new language.
The language of power.
Right. And once you learn it
You can start using it to your advantage.
and avoid those potentially disastrous mistakes.
Like Fouquet's party.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
So we've talked about how to not outshine the master.
Right.
But is there ever a time when it's okay to outshine them?
That's a great question, and it leads us to what Robert Greene calls the reversal.
The reversal. Okay, I'm intrigued.
So the reversal basically says that if your superior is incompetent,
Okay.
or if their power is slipping,
Then it might actually be advantageous to outshine them. So in certain situations, letting your brilliance shine, even if it eclipses your superior, can be the right move.
exactly. But this is a risky move.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
got to be very
So
careful.
it's like a calculated risk,
Right, like you're playing a high-stakes game of chess.
and you have to think several moves ahead.
Exactly. So let's say you're working at a company that's struggling,
Okay.
and the leadership is clearly failing.
Yeah, it happens.
This could be your opportunity to step up and show what you can do.
But you have to be careful not to seem like you're trying to take over.
Right, you don't want to be seen as a threat.
So how do you walk that line?
It's all about reading the room, understanding the situation.
So it's not about ego or ambition.
No.
It's about doing what's best for the company.
Exactly. And even in a reversal situation,
Yeah.
subtlety is key.
So you want to be seen as a solution.
Not a problem.
It's fascinating how these historical examples,
Hmm.
like Fouquet's disastrous party and Galileo's clever strategy,
They really illustrate the importance of understanding power dynamics
it's not just about talent, it's about knowing how to wield it
and how to adapt to different situations.
and how to read the people around you.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, but I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. So think about, your own life, your career,
Mm-hmm.
your relationships. Where do you fit in the whole game of power?
Right. Like, are you the master or are you the one trying to navigate?
Exactly. And how can you use this idea of never outshine the master to your advantage?
Because it's not just about avoiding those big mistakes.
Right. It's about understanding how to make those in power feel good
Yeah, so they'll want to support you.
and help you succeed.
Exactly.
So what can our listeners do? Like, what are some practical takeaways here?
Well, first of all, just pay attention.
Okay.
Observe the dynamics at work, in your social groups.
Yeah, even with your family.
Right. Who are the masters in these situations?
It's like you're a detective gathering clues.
Right. And once you understand the dynamics,
You can start making strategic moves.
exactly. Like if you know your boss is insecure about their public speaking skills.
You probably shouldn't brag about how much you love giving presentations.
Right. You could even offer to help them practice.
Oh, yeah, it makes them feel like you're on their team.
And if you see a colleague struggling with a task,
You could offer your help, but in a way that makes them feel good.
right, like, oh, I noticed you're working on that. I actually just learned a new trick that might help. Would you want to see it?
So you're being helpful, but you're not making them feel incompetent.
Exactly.
And don't forget about the reversal.
Right. If you're in a situation where the leadership is failing,
And you know you can do better,
don't be afraid to step up.
but be smart about it.
Yeah, don't be arrogant or disrespectful.
Be strategic and subtle.
And focus on solutions, not problems.
It's amazing how much we can learn from these historical examples.
Yeah, Fouquet and Galileo.
They show us that talent alone isn't enough
You have to understand the game of power
and know how to play it.
if you want to succeed.
Well said. This has been an incredible deep dive into Law 1 of the 48 Laws of Power.
I hope our listeners found it helpful.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic.
And there's so much more to explore in the book.
Definitely. But we'll save that for another deep dive.
Until next time, remember, never outshine the master.
Unless, of course, it's time for a reversal.
Right. But always proceed with caution.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of power, strategy, and human behavior.
Use the
Thanks for listening.